your favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, but can only miss 3 more games. To the NFL and your Super Bowl champion Seahawks, who hosted their victory parade yesterday, QB Sam Darnold made sure to thank his team and the fans for their belief in him amongst the doubt this season. Linebacker Ernest Jones IV had a different kind of message for Darnold's haters with his shirt and this message at the podium.
Shout out to these bad who play this game the right way. Hey, not only do we have the best defense in the world, we got the best team in the world. And quite frankly, if you got anything to say about my quarterback, you got anything to say about defense, you got anything to say about our O-line, and you got anything to say about the city of Seattle, I got 2 words for you. You.
If you ever wondered what a Super Bowl parade directed by Quentin Tarantino looked like, there you go. Thought he was going to go the DX route there, but we went into Lewis, Hawk, Jeremy, let's dig down on this. Lewis, we'll begin with you.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, still not getting enough credit despite the Super Bowl win?
Look, I think Sam is still trying to outrun the reputation that there's going to be some on this desk who say he deserves or that he earned going back to his days in New York in 18 and 19, and then the time that he had in Carolina under Matt Rule, and then, the kind of journey that he went on after that, going from San Francisco to Minnesota, and then finally, winding up here in Seattle and becoming a Super Bowl champion. That's a very windy road, and it's not a very linear path as far as his path to stardom. And that, I think a lot of people are still looking at that and going, hey, look, we're going to use that as fuel to continuously. He came out in the game early on firing this football and putting it in some very, very, protect the football, pick up a first down, pick up 10 yards. Those are the kind of things that I remember Sam Darnold, I remember him for now. Look, I understand there were some very rough times for him early on in his career. But one of the things that we talk about all the time on this desk and on various shows is how interdependent football is as a game, and how important coaching is, how important surroundings are, how important the culture is in which you were drafted into. He is in the best culture for him now, and I think we need to judge him accordingly now and kind of stop holding him to some of the old standards that we held him to and kind of holding some of the things that he struggled with early on in his career against him.
Kind of the tale of 2 careers with what we saw at first and now what we've seen. Do you agree with Lewis?
To a point, but he's received, I think, an appropriate amount of skepticism because he earned some of that. It was about 4 or 5 years of not very good play, not only with the Jets, Carolina Panthers wasn't great. So with any NFL player, you need proof of concept. He did it 1 year in Minnesota. That wasn't enough. There was still some skepticism. Needed a second year. I look at Ernest Jones in those comments. I'm like, where's the hate? I haven't seen a lot of hate. I think the NFL community kind of protects Sam Darnold a little bit. He's a very good quarterback, and he's earned that right. But it took some time. And other than Puka Nakua's tweet kind of criticizing Darnold, I haven't seen a lot of that. I think he's sort of been paraded the last few weeks as the guy who catalyzed that Super Bowl run.
Hawk, jump in here. Your thoughts?
I'm somewhere in the middle. He was tough to watch early on, but there were circumstances. Every quarterback that has come through the New York Jets, honestly, over the last decade, has been tough to watch, including Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the most talented quarterbacks.
Players, not for reporters, people around it, fans, is that we've become conditioned to a certain style of quarterback play being the only play that can win. 14 of the last 25 Super Bowls have featured either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. That's kind of what gets drilled into our mind, that's what it's got to look like in order to get a win. So when Darnold comes around and wins, it kind of throws us all through a loop.
Yeah, well, see, you know what? Even to some degree, even though Tom obviously came into the league and started having success right away as a regular starter, look, even he was someone who there's still debate about whether or not in his early years in New England, how much of it was him? How much was it, the fact that they had one of the stronger defenses in the league, had one of the best coaches in the league. He played with multiple Hall of Famers. And so people go, well, was it Tom or was it the system? And it wasn't really until he got to Tampa Bay that he was able to kind of get that off of his back and go and win a Super Bowl at a different place, different set of teammates, different coaching staff that we sit there and we go, man, this guy really is the damn GOAT. He really is the GOAT individually in terms of what he's able to accomplish at a different place. And then all that long sustained run of team success. That's what football is. Football is an interdependent sport. It's a team sport. And see, we have this desire to constantly want to pull people out in order to praise them or blame them. But then at the same time, the reason why we love football is because it is a team sport. Because you do have parades like that where guys are up there just putting up 4-letter words all the time and kind of showing you who they really are as far as their excitement. That's why we love this game. That's how we need to really evaluate this game.
Quick final word.
The other thing I'll say is what we've seen from Sam Darnold is something that is rare in the NFL is we're watching him get better, and that's what's hard for people to wrap their mind around because they think when you get to the NFL, you're a finished product. And Sam Darnold came in at 20 years old. He hadn't had a lot of games playing. That's when
Down. All right, time for the Fowler Files with Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy has all the latest news with the NFL offseason. Jeremy, let's begin right here. What do you have on the Raiders and Max Crosby?
I got the files right here, and I have that people in the NFL are bracing for potential movement on the Max Crosby front, a potential trade. However, Raiders are non-committal at this point. They have not decided what to do. I expect the Raiders, Crosby, the front office to all get together and talk about next steps. But there is a line out of Hudson Street to talk to Max Crosby. There are at least 20 teams I heard that have showed preliminary informal interest in Max Crosby. So this is a team that could rebuild, needs draft picks. Easy way to get them.
Lewis, trading Crosby, is that the best way to start the perceived Fernando Mendoza era?
Yeah, especially if Max doesn't want to be there. And look, you typically associate Max with being a Raider for life, and I get that. I get how important that is to a lot of the alumni and a lot of the fan base. But this is a football team that's starting over from scratch. He's going to be 29 years old. If he wants out of there, given everything that he's done for this organization, you're probably going to get a haul for him. They need so many different pieces, not just on offense, which we all automatically say is where they need to start because they need to support who's presumably going to be the #1 overall pick in Fernando Mendoza. Their entire defense needs to be revamped. He's the only valuable asset on that side of the football, arguably. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the era of a reset and Max Crosby doesn't have the stamina for it, you got to let him go to another team. You got to get those assets and build around what you have coming in. You had Tom Brady coming in last year. You had a new general manager. Now you have Kubiak as the new coach, and you're going to have a new franchise quarterback in Mendoza. It is time to do a reset, get those assets, and continue to build this foundation.
Jeremy, let's go to Dallas. What's the latest on the contract situation with the Cowboys and wide receiver George Pickens?
Yeah, the latest is the Cowboys are expected to franchise tag George Pickens when that window opens later this month. That would put him at around $28 million per year, which at least sets the stage for a potential long-term deal. My sense is Dallas would like to keep him long-term. They love what he brings to the offense, but this could get tricky because he and his agent aren't going to love the franchise tag, and he's going to want a long-term deal. He's not just going to run in there and sign it. This could be a situation where he stays away from the team, doesn't sign the tag. Then you have the song and dance of how do you reach a deal. Do they look at trading him? These are some questions people around the league are asking right now.
The questions we ask about this team every single year. Like, what year is it? Hawk, your thoughts? Should they give him the long-term deal now?
I think they give him the long-term deal, but it takes two to tango, and George Pickens is going to have to understand the situation. I'm not saying take less. He went out there and balled, but he was in an advantageous situation, playing with Dak Prescott, playing on the other side of CeeDee Lamb. The problem is Jerry Jones and his agent don't have a history of having a really great relationship, so I just expect it's going to be a very messy negotiation. But you have not seen Dak Prescott play better than what you saw this past season with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on the other side.
Jeremy, let's go to Philadelphia. The latest on the Eagles and A.J. Brown.
Well, some people I've talked to around the league, some executives with other teams, do expect that the Eagles will at least entertain a trade for A.J. Brown, who was unhappy on numerous fronts. I mean, name the counts where he looked like he was miserable out there. Body language wasn't good. So something has to give. That's sort of the feeling right now. They could build around Devontae Smith and some other pieces. Saquon, maybe add a wide receiver. So he would create a haul for the Eagles if they do go that route. Nothing has happened as of yet, but there are a lot of changes coming with the Eagles. We've seen them revamp basically their entire offensive staff. Do they pay Jalen Carter? One question around the league is, do they draft a quarterback maybe in day two to apply a little bit of pressure on Jalen Hurts, who I believe is at a crossroad right now after the way last season went. And Jalen Hurts was drafted in the second round, eventually replaced Carson Wentz, who got a massive deal just that offseason before. Does that same thing now happen to Jalen Hurts eventually?
Further back, Kevin Cobb was the second rounder behind Donovan McNabb. Howie Roseman was there as well. Let's put a pin in that. I want to come back to that one in just a second. Let's focus. How about that?
Look at you.
That's pretty much it for me. How much time do we have left in this show? I'm out of material. You're a resident wide receiver, Philadelphia. Are they going to get better getting rid of a guy like A.J. Brown? Should they trade him?
There's been so much friction that we could see with our own eyes, right? Like, we don't even know what happens behind the scenes. A.J. Brown is a top 5 receiver in this National Football League, and he has not had that level of production because they've had some chains on him since, like, he's gotten to Philadelphia. They've won a championship. I'm of the mindset to free A.J. Brown. Let him go to an organization where he can be the most talented receiver in the NFL because he has that level of ability. And if it is a friction on your offensive side of the ball that is resulting in what we saw a year ago, it is absolutely time.
Lewis, the right move for Philly?
Yeah, look, I mean, on the football field, from a pure talent perspective, of course it's not. You don't want to get in the business of trading people like this, but I understand exactly what Hawk is saying. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes things do run their course in the NFL. And look, there's nothing more important when you're talking about, offensive continuity as far as the relationship between a wide receiver and a quarterback. And you could just tell this is strained, man. There's a lot of things going on underneath the surface here that are not going to allow Jalen Hurts to kind of reach his full potential and A.J. Brown to reach his full potential. And that's what you need here. And it may be time for them to go ahead and move on from him. And it may be ultimately what both of these guys need and what they both want.
If you're in the GM chair, any of the seats around the NFL, who's picking up the phone and getting the most aggressive?
Oh, if I'm